The new official trailer for Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey has been released online, and after waiting a long time since the previous trailer and the IMAX prologue, the new footage absolutely delivers. It promises a wholly visceral yet truly mythological cinematic experience from Nolan, while further showcasing the performances, the filmmaking, and the scale of his adaptation. So in this video, I'm going to be giving you my in-depth breakdown and reaction to the trailer, presenting my thoughts on what was seen and what I think about Christopher Nolan's new epic. The trailer will be linked in the pinned comment if you haven't seen it already. Before I get into my breakdown of the trailer though, if you want to keep up to date on any of my content surrounding Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey movie, then don't forget to support this upload by giving it a like rating, subscribing to the channel, and turning on your notifications. But without further ado, let's dive into the new trailer for Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. So the main trailer for The Odyssey has finally been released online, and it was dropped during an appearance from director Christopher Nolan on the Stephen Colbert Show. To go alongside the trailer, we also got a new poster for the film, once again featuring Matt Damon's Odysseus and the Trojan horse in the background. Speaking of the Trojan horse, there are a few more shots of the sacking Troy sequence in this trailer, which we've already seen quite a lot of, and that includes a shot of Matt Damon's Odysseus standing amongst all the destruction. But the rest of the footage featured in this trailer is brand new. It opens with Charlize Theron, who plays Calypso in Nolan's film, pulling Odysseus from the sea after Zeus obliterates his ship with a thunderbolt, leaving him as the lone survivor. She brings him to her island and nurses him back to strength, with the island becoming his refuge after the loss of his entire crew. In Homer's tale, the rescue turns into captivity as she keeps him on the island for 7 years, hoping to make him her immortal husband. In the trailer footage, she asks him what he remembers, and he says his wife and son. Throughout the rest of the trailer, we then see Anne Hathaway's Penelope, who is mainly grieving her husband being away for so long. We see the moment prior to the axe contest with her holding Odysseus's bow. And when it comes to Tom Holland's Telemachus, we get a lot of scenes of him searching for his dad, being threatened by Robert Pattinson's Antinous, the most vicious of the suitors back in Ithaca, and also a scene with John Leguizamo's Eumaeus, the loyal swineherd and faithful friend of Odysseus. Seeing the footage of all of these characters, I think Nolan is going to intercut the film around 3 narrative perspectives, each unfolding across different spans of time during the 10 years after Troy's fall. The narrative perspectives that I think he'll show us are Odysseus' decade-long journey, Telemachus' brief but urgent search for answers, and then Penelope's final days before the suitor's downfall. Essentially 3 different timelines, 3 different genres, and 3 emotional arcs, all intercut and all building towards the same explosive conclusion. In this sense, Nolan would use time as a way to honour the poem's complexity while giving it a modern cinematic pulse. And I think the scenes we see with Telemachus and the suitors are taking place within his own timeline, set before he leaves Ithaca to search for answers. Another thing to note is that we also get a quick glimpse of Odysseus' loyal dog Argos, once celebrated as the finest hunting dog in Ithaca before his master sailed for Troy. When Odysseus finally returns 2 decades later, disguised and unrecognised by everyone else, it's the frail and forgotten Argos who instantly knows him. Moving on, one of the bigger focuses of this trailer was a surprising amount of fantastical footage featuring shots of Scylla, Charybdis, the Laestrygonians, and the Cyclops. During Nolan's appearance on Colbert, he talked a bit about his approach to filming the more fantastical elements of the Odyssey, saying, "We do a lot of practical effects and I don't want to reveal all the tricks, but what I will say is that we used pretty much every technique in the book on this movie. We really tried to do everything. I have an incredible visual effects supervisor, an amazing team of artists who worked on it, but we tried to get as much on camera, as much on screen as possible before they have to add a little bit extra." So yes, we really tried a lot of different techniques. And based on the footage we do get in the new trailer, it does look like we are getting the full range of practical effects with only a little bit of VFX work. In the footage itself, we get our first glimpse of the Laestrygonians, the cannibalistic giants that Odysseus encounters in Book 10. In the epic poem, they ambush Odysseus' fleet and annihilate 11 of his 12 ships, hurling massive boulders and devouring the trapped crews. Only Odysseus' own vessel, anchored outside the narrow harbour, manages to break away and escape their onslaught. The footage pretty much follows that. As they cut through Odysseus' men, we see one of them getting thrown at a tree and cutting it in half, and then a gorgeous shot of the men running towards the shore away from them. We also get our first look at the Charybdis whirlpool, and then a very quick glimpse at Scylla, the six-headed sea monster. Charybdis is the vast devouring whirlpool of the Odyssey, a sea monster that sucks down and spews out entire masses of water several times a day. We see a ship going towards the whirlpool, and then following this, we get a shot of Scylla grabbing one of Odysseus' men through a ship's sail. And on top of getting a brief look at both Scylla and Charybdis, we also get a very quick flash from a moment during the siren scene when Odysseus is tied up to the ship's mast and is screaming. We don't actually see the sirens themselves, but it's comforting to know that Nolan seems to be faithfully adapting that sequence. In the Odyssey, the sirens are part women, part bird creatures whose enchanting songs lure sailors to crash on the jagged rocks around their island. After Circe warns him about them, Odysseus blocks his cruises with beeswax and has himself tied to the mast so that he can hear their song without being pulled to his death. In addition to these scenes, we also get more extended looks at both the Cyclops sequence and the underworld. During the Cyclops footage, we get the exact same shot from the IMAX prologue of what looks to be Bill Irwin playing the Cyclops Polyphemus as he moves towards the screen. This time, the shot includes him holding one of Odysseus' men. And then at the very end, there's also the shot that was played at CinemaCon where the Cyclops pulls one of Odysseus' men away, presumably eating him off screen. There is also another shot of him walking on the island, presumably after Odysseus' men escape the cave. So my guess is that this is just prior to the moment where Polyphemus throws massive rocks at their ship. And when it comes to the underworld, we get a bit more of this on show as well, seeing Odysseus talking to what looks to be the character of Elliot Page, who says to him, "Who's looking after your wife and son?" I'm not quite sure who this is, but my current guess would be that Elliot Page is playing Tiresias. Tiresias is a blind prophet, best known for the period in which Hera transformed him into a woman for 7 years before he eventually returns to being a man. Again, there's no confirmation of who exactly Page is playing, but that's my current guess based on this quick shot in the new trailer. So what did I make of the new trailer for Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey? Well, on one side, I think it looks like exactly the kind of bold, atmospheric reinterpretation of Homer's epic poem that you'd expect from Nolan. Right from the opening frames, you can feel the film signalling a darker, more intense vision of Homer's epic, one that leans into myth, memory, and the psychological way of Odysseus' journey. What really stood out to me is how clearly the trailer hints at a multi-strand narrative that both I predicted in a previous video and Nolan mentioned back at CinemaCon. We're not just following Matt Damon's Odysseus from Troy to Ithaca, we're also getting the stressful search for information from Tom Holland's Telemachus, and then both the grief and heartbreak that Anne Hathaway feels as Penelope back home. Nolan is weaving together different timelines and perspectives, and that lines up perfectly with what we've seen previously in Telemachus searching for identity, Penelope fighting to hold her world together, and Odysseus battling both the sea and himself. Christopher Nolan loves fragmented storytelling because it lets him explore time, memory, and identity in a way that forces the audience to lean in rather than sit back. And applying that approach to the Odyssey actually feels incredibly fitting. Odysseus is a husband, a father, and a myth whose absence reshapes the lives of everyone connected to him. So by cutting between these threads in time, the film can highlight the emotional cost of his journey and build tension across time, which Nolan is obviously great at. It feels like the director is completely modernizing the epic without losing its soul, as he's preserving both the tone and the complexity, while emphasizing that heroism isn't just about adventure. It's about endurance, loyalty, and the slow passage of time. But when it comes to the more unexpected aspects of this new trailer, I did not expect Nolan to go as far as he has in a fantastical sense. The brief glimpses we got of Scylla, Charybdis, the Laestrygonians, the underworld, and the Cyclops Polyphemus are ones that make me think that Nolan is not holding back on the fantastical elements, and he's aiming to cover a lot of what's in the epic poem. He doesn't oversaturate anything or use too much VFX as expected, but he's not stripping things down either. And I think that's the best possible approach he could have taken, using clever framing, blocking, and techniques to give these moments a sense of authenticity, yet also not shy away from them. Speaking of the visuals, alongside the Dune Part 3 trailer that came out the other month, I think this new Odyssey trailer is my favourite of the year so far. Every frame looks meticulously composed, drenched in mood and texture. It's the kind of imagery that makes you want to pause every shot just to take in the artistry of the frames that cinematographer Hoyte van Hoytema is putting to the big screen. Shot entirely on IMAX 70mm film, the scale is also enormous, and every location on screen feels overwhelming in the best way. Yes, the colours are muted, earthy and grounded, but again that's because this isn't high saturation fantasy, it's a world defined by hardship, fate, and the fear of what lies beyond the horizon. And then there's also the new sounds from Ludwig Göransson's score. Even just in trailer form, the music immediately locks you into the mythic atmosphere of Nolan's film. It has that same apocalyptic and eerie quality we heard in the other trailers and also the IMAX prologue, but I think it gets even more epic and dark. So as a whole, with this trailer needing to be the piece of marketing that delivered and got people interested in Nolan's take, I think it does just that, striking the perfect balance between spectacle and soul. Nolan has always succeeded in doing just that, and I think he might do so again. It sets the high expectation that this film isn't just about legendary feats, but about endurance, identity, and the human cost of the journey. It might be one of Nolan's most confident trailers in years, and alongside the brilliant IMAX prologue we got back in December, it has me wanting this film to come out today. But that was my video discussing my thoughts and breaking down the official trailer for Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. Overall, the new footage gives us a great taste of what Nolan is bringing to the big screen, with the scale being massive, the fantastical elements being tackled head-on, and shots feeling loaded with the weight of Odysseus' journey, the stress of Telemachus' search, and the grief of Penelope's longing. You can already see the hallmarks of a meticulously crafted Nolan film, with commanding performances, bold visual storytelling, and another thunderous Ludwig Göransson score driving it all forward. If this new footage is anything to go by, then I think we're looking at another defining theatrical experience from director Christopher Nolan. Sure, there's always a chance that the film could miss the mark, but based purely on what we've seen, this trailer did exactly what it needed to. It got me fully on board and showcased some of the biggest moments from Homer's epic in stunning fashion. But if you've already seen the new trailer for The Odyssey, let me know down below in the comment section what you thought of the new footage from the film, alongside whether it gets you even more excited. For much more videos and breakdowns, then subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like, rating, and follow me on social media via the links in the description. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.